I guess we can kick things off and get right into reorganization.
Okay,
Well, I didn't see that coming so quickly, but since we did, first of all, I'd like to make a motion. And firstly, thank you, Russ, for a year of good service. You did an excellent job. And I would like to make a motion to have Mr. Cantwell be chair for the next year.
I'll second that.
all right.
We want to put that to a roll call vote.
Okay, Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell,
Aye.
and Mr. Jennings.
Aye.
All right, motion
ayes
passes
have it.
unanimously.
That being said, I'd like to make a motion for Russ Jennings to be vice chair for the next year.
I'll second that motion. Can we have a roll call vote, Peter?
Sure. Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Seeing as how that passed, through the chair, if I might make a motion, I'd like to appoint Paul Gagner as secretary.
Do I have a second? Cameron or Pat, can I get a second?
I
Second.
second that motion.
Okay. Roll call vote. Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
All right.
Can I get a motion for a payroll signing authority?
I'll make a motion to appoint Paul Gagner.
Can I get a second, please?
I second.
Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, so good. I guess moving on now. I guess that's all set right now, Peter.
Yes. Yep.
So we're gonna go right open to Commissioner's Public Forum. If anybody's here for that. Hearing none. Mr. Secretary, can you read the warrants, please?
I will. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following warrants. First off, we have commissioner salaries, $300. Fire detection systems, $337.50. WB Mason for office supplies, $11.99. Veolia for emergency services of February, $323.85. The Alarm Works for the month of May, $275. Clear Engineering, $1,385. Hilltop Equipment, $4,338.13. WB Mason again, $6.57. Veolia, sludge, is that overage, $211.38. And Veolia pack for the plant, $5,565.36. Again, Veolia for Sunset Drive, $211.38. Again, Veolia for Glen Echo float issue, $457.07. Again, Veolia for the quarter end of March sludge removal. I assume this is overage we had initially agreed on, $7,150. Again, Veolia for the MTA lab testing, $184. And the last one for Veolia for March emergency service, $323.85. Franklin Electric for grinder pump pump parts, $6,912. Veolia for the April monthly service charge, $39,096.64. FM generator, $175 for Burlingame Road, and FM generator service of North Main Street, $175. Again, FM generator for service of Old Worcester Road, $175. And again, FM generator for the wastewater treatment plant, $175. For a grand total of $67,789.72.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
Is McClure Engineering reimbursable?
Yes. Yep, that'll be reimbursable through ExxonMobil.
Peter, I have a question. The last four charges for FM for 175 for generator stuff. Don't we have a annual contract with somebody to take care of the generators?
Yes, we switched over to FM generator, and this is part of that annual contract.
Okay. Any more discussion? Peter, roll call vote, please.
All right, Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye. Moving on to the abatements, Paul.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following abatements for flat rate system, $377.72, and senior abatements that are metered, $333.07, for a total of $710.79, and also 19 South Sturbridge Road for $101.73.
How about a second?
I'll second that. I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Peter, please.
Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye. All right.
And lastly, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written that were written for the meeting April 5th, 2021.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagner,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Perfect. Moving on to scheduled appointments. Seem like we're running a little bit right on schedule here. Vinny, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
You want to give us the MOR for the month, March?
This is the monthly operating report for the month of March. We kept fully staffed all March. I had Dylan Moriarty employed full-time, and we had coverage from Sturbridge and Smithfield to keep us fully staffed. We followed all the COVID-19 protocols that were in place. March's safety training, we did fire prevention and response. There were 2 modules. One was on fire extinguisher use. Both trainings were on the J.J. Keller platform. In the month of March, for compliance, we had 1 permit exceedance, and that was on aluminum. The reported result was 251 micrograms per liter, and our permit level at that time was 93. Now, we had the draft administrative order in hand, which says we could have been in compliance, but it was still in draft form. It wasn't the official administrative order, so I reported this violation anyways. There was no actions or even replies from the EPA, so I'm guessing they looked that we had that administrative order, just kind of walked by it. The big project for the month We switched the plan over from the influence screening to the bar rack. We drained out the screen unit, had Slims pump out all the grit, and there was a lot in there. It was hours of pumping grit out. While we were doing that, we found a big hole in the screen. Literally, you could stick your foot through it. I got a quote from the manufacturer of $7,800 to send us a new part. And I spoke with Peter about it, and he asked if I could look into having somebody local replicate the part for us. So we brought it to Accurate Sheet Metal. They cut out the old punch plate and welded in some new material for us. It was less than $2,000 for the whole repair.
Nice work, guys.
So we did receive that draft administrative order. The project me and you spoke about those EQ blowers for tanks 2 and 3. I ordered those in March. We drained EQ tank 3A. We cleaned it, installed 8 new aerators. There were 6 of them that was still good in this tank. So we didn't take out any old ones just to take them out. We left them in place and just added 8 new ones. So that should help us with air exchange and keeping things mixed. Pump station activities. Hilltop came out to troubleshoot Vine Street. We had Slim Sewer Service clean North Sturbridge Pump Station. That station gets a lot of grease and baby wipes, and that's why you guys see it on here a few times a year to get cleaned out. Charlton Oil came out. They sucked all the bad fuel out of Vine Street's generator tank. And after they had it empty, they flushed about 25 gallons of clean fuel through it, sucked that out, and then they refilled the tank. And let's see. Oh, you were reading the bills for FM generator. When they were doing those services, the tech had mentioned that Old Worcester Road needed to have its fuel pumped out and the tank cleaned. So I'll talk to Peter a little more about that. We cleaned both pumps at 6 West in the month of March. Grinder pump calls. March was very nice to us. We only had 3 of them. 5 Hollywood Drive. The float was just stuck, so it couldn't turn on. 62 Hollywood Drive, again, a stuck float. And that's when I wired in the redundant run circuit. And that circuit allows the pump to run if the run float is stuck. And it's been making a big difference because most of our calls we get is that run float being stuck. It's at the surface of the water, so it gets the most buildup on it. So it's the first to fail. The last grinder pump call we had in March was 237 Sunset. Again, stuck float. We wired it up with the redundant run. Dig safes, March was very slim on those. We had 24 dig safe requests come in. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look over that email and the cut sheet attachment I sent, but it's for a dry chemical feed system. It's called a volumetric feeder. And basically it'll just steady all day long, deliver a consistent dose of lime. And that'll help us maintain alkalinity a little easier. What we do now is we take a 50-pound bag, cut it open and dump it into a tank. And probably a quarter of that bag of lime goes straight to the bottom and the rest gets mixed into the tank. So if you guys could approve us to purchase this setup, it would make the dosing of lime a lot more consistent and it would help with our alkalinity. I was speaking with John about it and he said we don't need the $2,000 HDPE tank that's attached to it in the cut sheet. So the total cost is $7,505 for the volumetric feeder. And that concludes the MOR for the month of March. Any questions?
Thank you, Vinny.
What is the Viola discount on that spreader, Vinny?
It's 20% according to the rep I spoke with. I'm not sure if the discount was already, I'm assuming it was already included in the price he gave.
So that 7,000 is already discounted.
Correct.
Okay. Peter, what's
Peter, can I
your?
get your opinion on this?
I've been working with Vinny on this and we're not really sure. I mean, the last I talked to Vinny, we weren't really sure where we were going to put it. There might be the need for an additional shed also to house this outside on top of one of the on EQ tank number 1. It depends where it's located. If we locate it inside the Headworks building, we can just purchase this and try and make it work over the trough. But I'm not sure that's the best place to put it. So my last discussion with Vinny was he was talking about putting it over one of the manholes on EQ tank 1, where we just drop the lime right into EQ tank 1 as it passes through, as the flow passes through. But in order to do that, we have to install it in some type of shed, kind of like we had installed as part of the EQ blower upgrade. So, Vinny, is that still your preferred way to install it?
At the last I spoke with John, we both agreed that would be the best idea.
So I just, have you gotten any prices for those types of sheds to be built on
I
site?
have not. I wanted to talk to everybody about this and see where everybody kind of stood on it.
So I think if the commission is comfortable saying that, yes, you agree that there's a need for the volumetric feeder for lime so we can, again, dose it correctly. And once SCADA gets upgraded, we may be able to have this feeder tied into the flow so it can actually be flow paced as well. So if there's no flow, the feeder won't go. And while we get higher flow, the feeder can increase and dose it with more lime to help with the alkalinity. One thing I do know is based on the Headworks analysis that we had done a couple of years ago, they're saying loss of alkalinity is what triggered some of our non-compliance and inability to treat our wastewater. So I think the more efficiently that we can dose and deliver the lime as the preferred way to control alkalinity, the better off and more efficient the plant can run. So I think, again, if I can work with Vinny to go ahead and establish the best place to locate it and the best way to house it, I think this is a great investment to make for us and for Veolia to help them operate the plant.
Through the chair, if I might.
Go ahead, please.
It would be my recommendation if we could ask Vinny to collect all the data and information on the shed and lay us out the total proposal with any costs involved for our next meeting, then we could make a complete decision on this.
I can do that for you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we'd be in favor of something like this vein, depending on, of course, what the actual cost of the whole project would be.
Right. Yeah, I'll get that information together for you guys.
Perfect. Thank you, Benny.
Thank you, Vinny.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Vinny, anybody? All right. Moving on, we have a scheduled 6:45 appointment with Treehouse. Is Nate on the line?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and Nate Lanyard from Treehouse is on the line. He's here to give us an update on the pre-treatment process.
Recording me. Hi, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hi. Thank you, Peter. So yeah, I'm coming into the project a little bit in a roundabout way. We had a previous director of maintenance that was working with Cambrian on this project who moved on. But that said, I was involved early in the project with Peter and the rest of the commission as we were working out our memorandum of agreement. So that said, I'm very well versed on what we have going on here, and I'm happy to give you guys an update. So far, we've been overjoyed with the way that the Cambrian membrane bioreactor has been working. You know, they've determined that the results from the pilot study indicate that high strength Treehouse wastewater is readily degradable in the EcoVolt reactor. Right now, the average influent as measured by McClure Engineering throughout the year has been right around 4,500 to 5,000 milligrams per liter. Sorry, I just lost my screen.
I just tried to share my screen with the data that you're referencing that shows the process BOD and then the pre-treatment BOD.
Yep. Yeah, and our data indicates on the average with a little analysis that we crunched here that the average influent over the past year since we commissioned the reactor sometime last May has been right around 4,500 to 5,000 milligrams per liter. And the EcoVol reactor has been achieving 93% removal efficiency. And the average effluent BOD, exiting the system has been right around 200 to 225 milligrams per liter. So, early on when we were discussing this system and sharing it with the commission, we were hoping to achieve on the order of 80% BOD reduction. And it turns out that we're actually doing well in excess of that. So from our perspective, all things considered, where we stand right now with Cambrian, who is operating the membrane bioreactor on a contract for the next 12 months, they're doing an excellent job, and we've exceeded what we had expected to be doing with the reactor.
That's great.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Peter, do we have McClure Engineer and yourself validate all this information that's being provided?
So McClure Engineering actually goes up and takes the samples and sends it out to the lab, and they provide us the lab results and the flow data.
Excellent. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions on the reactor?
One of the other things that Treehouse has going on that the commission had some questions on was the new distillery that's being installed. Nate, can you just update them on that and how that flow is going to be caught in a tight tank, and we're not going to see any of that flow, any of that process flow at this time?
Yeah, so at this time we're not there's no means to bring that wastewater over to the reactor. It's in a standard double wall 10,000 gallon tight tank, and that waste is captured in a contained unit. It's being hauled off site over to Rutland, I believe, as part of that digester that they have there. So at this time, there's no plans at all, even in the works, Peter, to hook that in through the system at this time. It's not to say that down the road we might not investigate the possibility of both expanding the reactor and returning to you guys for more flow, but at this time we don't anticipate any changes for the foreseeable future.
And just to reiterate, our biggest concern is we really don't know what type of constituents or concentrations of waste are in that flow at this time. So before that process waste from the distillery could be discharged, even through the bioreactor, we would like to have some of that data before we approve that to be done. So just want to make sure that we're clear with that right now. And other than that, yes, the pretreatment system appears to be working great. I think their flows through the pretreatment system are higher than what they anticipated or what we've been told in the past. So it seems like they're going to try and just get as much process flow as possible through the existing pretreatment system and keep it working as efficiently as possible. So it's great for them and it's great for us.
Right. And Peter, I can speak real quickly on the distillery. Again, this is a bit further down the road, but I've been, sort of intimately involved with the commissioning of that small still that we have down there. And the truth is the waste constituents from the distillery are virtually identical to the waste constituents from the brewery. It's the same type of stuff that is going into that tight tank. And if we're not capturing the alcohol and putting it into a drum, then we're doing a bad job. So again, just as a little bit of a heads up, the constituents there will be vaguely similar to what we've experienced with the brewery, if and when the time comes.
I have a question. Does anybody know? Do you guys know? We gave you an extra $2,500 of capacity on November 9th. What are they up to now, Peter? Do we know how much they're using? They didn't obviously take out the whole 2,500 gallons extra a week, right?
I think their average is anywhere from, say, 8,500 to 9,500 gallons per day, if you include all of their flows.
Okay.
So that's the second item on the agenda is you gave them conditional approval to discharge an additional 2,500 gallons per day, which brings them from the 7,500 gallon per day capacity that they bought in for previously, increasing that to 10,000 gallons per day. And this was a conditional approval just to make sure that the additional flow did not have any detrimental impact on the treatment plant, which it hasn't. And now that it's been the 6-month test phase to see what happens, it's time, as far as I believe Trios wants to continue that additional discharge. So we need to go ahead and assess them the additional privilege fee for that capacity, which is spelled out in my memo. So for the 2,500 gallons of additional capacity, the privilege fee is $102,500. So if the commission could vote to assess that privilege fee, I believe Sue already has the paperwork drafted up for you to sign, but we do need a motion for that to carry and for us to move forward.
I'll make
with
a
that
motion.
process.
I'll make a motion that we approve the assessment as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Peter, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Ridlack,
Aye.
Mr. Gagnon,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nate.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Have a good
Appreciate
night.
it.
Thank you.
Moving on, new business. RFP, Peter.
Yeah, so our current operations agreement with Veolia is set to expire on October 31st, 2021. I've been working with the town administrator to create the RFP for the treatment plant operations. There are some small changes that have been made, but one of the major changes that have been made is the RFP. The previous RFP had a term of 3 years with 2 one-year renewals. I've been talking to the town administrator. We're able to change that. So I'm recommending that we do an initial 5-year term with 2 5-year renewals. So we're not trying to go through this RFP process every 5 years. And that way there, we can, if we, we'll get one contractor in for initial 5-year term. And if they're doing a good job, we can keep them here and keep that moving on for 10 or 15 years, as long as they're doing a good job. Because this is an RFP project and the RFP will have to go out to bid, I didn't attach it to the minutes. I did send it out to everybody for comments, but I didn't want to attach it here and send it out as part of our agenda package. It's not completed yet, and I don't want it to be out there attached to the minutes and let someone see it before it goes out as far as the formal proposal. So hopefully you guys had a chance to review it, and if you have any questions, you can probably talk about, if you have any, I guess, questions on the broad spectrum, we can talk about those.
The only question I had, Peter, I don't know if I was talking to you or if I made this up in my head, but something about they need to have somebody within 10 miles to be able to cover.
Sure. So that's one of the other things I added is because Veolia has personnel and they operate other plants in the area. Over the last 3 to 6 months, when we were shorthanded with employee turnover, Veolia was able to bring employees in from Sturbridge to help us out. So I think that was a huge asset for them to keep our plant operating consistently and keeping it staffed. So I put a clause in there that not that they need to, but so we're going to do this proposal the same way we did the SCADA proposal, where we're going to get the technical proposal, which they're going to propose how they're going to operate the treatment plant, and we're going to rank them based on that technical proposal. And then we're going to go ahead and open up their price proposals, and we'll see how the prices lay out with their technical proposal, and then figure out who has the best proposal for us to go with, considering both items. So as part of the technical proposal, one of the items I asked them to identify is if they had any other treatment plants that they operate within a 10-mile radius that they could share staff with. And one of the other items I added also is if for them to list any vendors that we might get preferred pricing with or discounts with, like we currently get from Veolia as well, to make sure that we can take that in consideration when we're selecting our next operator, because that's shown to be a great benefit.
Great. Anybody have any questions? So do you need anything more from us on this, Peter, right now?
Again, if you could just send me comments, and as long as I don't have any major comments or nobody says that they really don't like anything that's been presented, then we'll go ahead and move forward. I'll have the town administrator advertise the RFP and get the process moving so we don't end up behind chasing ourselves towards the end of the project. So, no, I don't need a formal motion to move forward. It's more so if there was any major concerns anybody had.
All right. So I guess we'll move on to the next order of new business, the sewer allowance request for 53 Sturbridge Road.
Yes, I believe there's some people on the line today to discuss this. I don't have a memo for you because, again, with myself being out last week, we were able to get this on the agenda, but I didn't have conversations with the engineering company or the presenters about much of this until Friday afternoon. So I believe Mr. Perry is on the line tonight to give you an overview of the project at 53 Sturbridge Road and what their request would be for water and sewer flows. So if there's no objection, I'll just turn it over to him and he can kind of fill you in on what they're proposing if you haven't heard about it already.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. John Perry here from Langen Engineering. I'm a civil engineer. On the line with me is Alex Escamilla from Blue Water, who's the developer of the property. You may have heard about a upcoming project at the site at 53 Sturbridge Road. We've been discussing with the planning board and selectmen in town in the really in the early stages here of planning a project here. But we had reached out to Pete a couple weeks ago, inquiring about sewer capacity. Sent a will serve letter to Pete with some anticipated flow requirements. I've since had a conversation with Pete about that, and we kind of just appreciate the opportunity to come and discuss with you tonight. I'll give you a couple of just bullet points here on what we're looking to do. It's going to be a dry storage warehouse distribution facility. So not manufacturing, not your classic industrial waste or anything like that. Just dry storage and distribution. So pretty standard flows. It's going to be the building footprint is about 650,000 square feet, multi-story, with a total square footage of about 2.8 million square feet. Anticipated employee count of about 1,152 roughly, and looking at a Title V flow rate for a dry storage facility without a cafeteria, we're looking at about 15 gallons a day per person, which is about 17,280 gallons a day. Pete and I spoke Friday afternoon. He kind of gave me the lay of the land a little bit regarding the town's sewer capacity and just a little bit of background on the approval process. And I understand anything over 10,000 gallons a day requires the commission's approval. So again, we're here tonight really to kind of talk about it and answer any questions that we can answer and see what the commission's feelings are on a potential project that we, and if we're successful in getting through a couple of steps with planning board, and we have an agenda item at town meeting in a couple of weeks as well. for a zoning item. Then at that point, probably sometime in June, we'd be putting in for a special permit application through planning board, and we'd probably have a more formal review process with you all for an actual, for project specifics. So I'll stop talking, and again, glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
regarding the moratorium of 10,000 gallons per day, my initial thought on this subject matter was, being that we'd go over that threshold, potentially have the customer look into pretreatment as a way of offsetting that over 10,000 gallons per day limit. That's something that I discussed with Peter briefly, and hopefully we can throw that at you guys and hear your questions, comments, concerns.
Yeah, it's certainly something that we could consider. Are there any, I'm not a wastewater engineer, but I know enough to kind of talk the lingo, I guess. Are there any specific concerns that you'd be trying to have us, meet as far as pretreatment?
Yes.
Well,
So
go ahead, Pete.
So as far as our ammonia loading goes, because we have the two rest areas, we have the Mass Pike rest areas east and west in town that we get flows from, their ammonia loading is extremely high. So it would more so be if, again, because we don't know what type of flow. You're saying it's going to be sanitary, but if you have low flow toilets and a lot of the employees are using the restroom, if it does cause another type of ammonia loading issue, we'd want you to try and pre-treat for that.
Okay.
Because there's no process waste coming, hopefully we can work on maybe have your floor drains, if there are floor drains, depending on the type of dry, I know it's dry warehouse, but if floor drains are required, if those could go to a tight tank, so we don't have to worry about flow from those, then we could probably just say that we could sample. I know for what we do test for our other industrial customers are for TSS and BOD, whatever is in excess of 250 milligrams per liter, there's a surcharge. And for ammonia, whatever is in excess of 40 micrograms per liter, there is a surcharge. So we'd probably try and draft something that maybe we could have some type of clause in there. If your levels are exceeding those, then maybe some type of pre-treatment process would be possible, so you don't have a adverse effect on the treatment plant or our ability to treat what's currently coming in.
It'd be kind of like a conditional approval, and we'd monitor it and take some samples, and if we find that we're causing elevated levels of ammonia, then treat for it at that point. Or is that what you're getting at?
Possibly, if the commission's comfortable with that.
Through the chair, if I might. Just to give you guys a little insight onto a similar situation that we're potentially proposing with you guys would be Treehouse, and you could touch base with them and see how user friendly this board has been with them, because I think we are very business friendly, and we want to make sure that we do everything that we possibly can to bring business into Charlton and help it along the way. With that said, naturally, we want to protect our own infrastructure and our taxpayers, and we don't want them to pay the brunt of your services when you do come to town. So moving forward, best of luck, and hopefully we can work with you guys to get your project completed and have you guys start paying taxes in Charlton.
Great, that sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, well, our I guess initial concern when we were really first starting out was making sure that you all had capacity for the project, and it sounds like you do have capacity. It's just a matter of making sure we do it in the right way.
And this is Alex from the development team. I appreciate those comments and definitely understand where you're coming from, and we'll work on a solution there. No problem, and we appreciate you guys giving us the information, and we look forward to working with you as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're fortunate at that parcel at 53 Sturbridge Road. Water and sewer infrastructure are right on Route 20. It currently abuts the property, so you don't have to worry about extending anything. As far as water goes, I know there's not a great amount of pressure there, but there should be, I believe it's probably a 10-inch line in that area that you can connect to get water. And if it's 18,000 gallons per day, I think that would be welcome for water to get the additional flow into town, because we're not even, again, we're pretty far away from meeting what we have for capacity with the town of Southbridge and our IMA. So water should be much simpler.
Yeah, the only thing, and we're just, again, starting out looking at this here, is like you said, the pressure there is not great. And then we're going up a hill basically to get into our site, 50, 60 feet or so. So we're working with our fire protection engineer and plumbing engineer on, if we need to have some type of booster pump at the bottom of the hill, or, we're gonna have, exterior tanks for our fire suppression system. We know that already. So we're just getting our feet wet on the ins and outs of that system.
Great.
Right.
So again, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar, but 53 Sturbridge Road is the location of the current Kozowski Farm. It's the original parcel is just about 100 acres, correct? And if you could just give us just a little, I believe they're merging a couple parcels to get some access to Route 1.
Yeah, I have a site plan here that I can show you if you'd like.
Sure.
It's just a concept plan at this point, but give you the feel for where it is, at least, and what we're proposing here. So I have my screen up. Assume everyone can see that. So this is, Route 20 here, and then Southbridge Road, Route 169 here. North is, mostly plan left here. Cape and Hill is directly to our west, and then Treehouse is just one more parcel west of Cape and Hill there. So this is the site here, and again, this is industrial type warehouse with employee parking and truck parking and some truck circulation. Again, this is our water tanks here that we're proposing. So again, there's like I said, 50-foot or so grade change between the two roadways in our building. We'd be able to have probably gravity sewer come down, tie into Route 20 here, and in the sewer system, I think there's an 8-inch line out there. So that's just our initial site plan.
So there is a high pressure transmission water main on Southbridge Road that might be a possibility to tie into if you design it correctly with the town of Southbridge to make them feel comfortable.
Okay, yeah, we've been talking with them, and they thought that Sturbridge Road was a better option, but we're, again, just kind of getting our feet wet with them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, again, once you do the hydraulic analysis and do some water, do some modeling, you might find that the pressures on Southbridge Road might help.
Yeah, we're gonna
might eliminate a booster pump station for you. That's all.
Yep, we're gonna do some flow tests, hydrant flow tests in the next couple of weeks, so figure all that out.
So again, just to be clear to everyone, because this is the parcel, I mean, you talked about going to town meeting, so this is the project that's going to be looking for the zoning change to be able to go up to 110 feet for building height, correct?
Yep, it's exactly. So it's zoned in the building enterprise district right now. So the zonings allows, I think, up to 50 feet with a special permit at this point. So we're asking for a change to go up to 110 feet. Correct.
So by doing that, you're also shrinking your footprint, correct? So the original plan, much like the other project down at the end of Route 20 near the Sturbridge line, is 1.2 million square feet of building, but it's all one level. So it's almost 30 acres of building.
Exactly. Where this one's about 15 acres of building, but we have, 4 or 5 times that amount of footprint of gross floor area. Exactly. So it's a little more environmentally friendly. We have a good amount of green space, maintaining all of our buffers and everything like that. We need to maintain. So it's a nice way to do it. All right.
Great.
Well, I appreciate your time, and again, I think I'm sure we'll be seeing more of each other and talking along the way. And Pete, you've been really helpful so far, so I appreciate that.
Sure. If I hear of any other concerns or any other questions, or the commissioners get in touch with me tomorrow, I'll let you know and kind of forward those on so we can kind of address them as they come up.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right. Thanks. Have a good night.
Moving on to old business.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, before you get going, unfortunately, I have to leave the meeting, so I'll thank you guys and have a good evening.
Mr. Jennings, take care.
Take care.
Thank
Russ. Good night.
Performance evaluation for our superintendent.
Yeah, so at our last meeting, I presented you with a performance evaluation for you to complete for myself. I was thinking Sue was going to combine the evaluations, but I don't think that's happened yet. So I just I'll put it in your hands to see what you guys want to do with the whole evaluation process. If you want to continue through it, or if you want to just make a simple motion that my performance has been satisfactory, just to kind of get through it, or if you want to go through the full process, I'll leave it
Peter,
up to you guys.
tell us real quick, is this something that's mandatory for the town or whatever? I think all of us are, just probably aren't great paperwork people.
It's not mandatory, but they like to see it done annually. So again, it's not really my favorite thing to kind of present to you guys either, but
Sure.
it's a nice way. One thing it does do, if we follow through with it, is it'll identify goals or priorities for me to follow through with for you for the next year. So when we do this next year, we can look back on the goals established and see how I've done, and you can kind of measure my performance. And again, the goals that we talked about the last time we did this are pretty much everything we've been working on, such as consecutive water in Buffinville and the water projects and the school loop and the Casella project and all that. So I like to think you guys are happy with how things are going, and it really doesn't need to be that formal. If it, again, a simple vote saying that you guys are satisfied with my performance is fine. We don't need to do the whole formal performance.
Yeah, Paul, can you make a motion as such, Paul?
I think, seeing as Peter just received the increase in salary, that's a go ahead from us as to the fact that he's been doing a good job.
Sure.
So I don't see the need either for these other formal papers. So whatever kind of a motion you need to say, suffice it to say, we're done with this right now. I think everybody will be happy.
Perfect. Is that good, Peter? Or do you need a real motion?
Well, I think a motion and a vote would just, again, that way I can let HR, I can let HR know, and they'll know, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. Paul, can you go make a motion?
I don't know how to word it. That's all. I'd be happy to make the motion if somebody's got some words to put into it.
I guess that Peter's doing a satisfactory job to the commissioners.
So moved.
All right, can I get a second?
I second that notion.
All right. Peter, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Ridlack.
Aye.
Mr. Gagner.
Aye.
And Mr. Cantwell.
Aye. Fantastic. Moving on, Peter, the water line construction update.
Yeah, so the Bay Path pump station is active. The school loop, since the Bay Path pump station has been activated, the school loop is now formally active. So the official date and start of the 1-year connection for the residents on that school loop is officially April 7th, 2021. We will be working with ExxonMobil to coordinate our mailing to residents with them. We'll be using their mailing list, so we have the most recent information, and we do not mail letters to residents who have already committed to connect and cause confusion. ExxonMobil's letters will be sent certified as required by DEP. ExxonMobil has asked us to send our letters regular mail so that residents might not just disregard them because it's a certified letter coming from the town, as some people might do. So if there's no objections from the commission, we'll just go ahead and keep moving forward with that. Sue's been working with Maura Johnson from Kleinfelder. I think we have a pretty good process ironed out to move forward with, so that the residents will be definitely informed of what's taking place.
Peter, just remind me, we're going to send those out, return receipt requested, so everybody has a signature on file.
Kleinfelder, ExxonMobil is gonna send theirs certified return receipt.
Okay.
They asked us just to send ours normal mail so that
That-
people don't get skittish because of the certified return receipt coming from the
Yeah.
town and just, say no.
Yeah, can we just make sure that we get a copy or some type of file of all those signatures or just, I
From
think that's really
ExxonMobil?
important to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think
think-
that's important to have because
So- yeah.
I hate for that to come back and bite us in the butt at some point in time.
Nah, I get that, but I think, to satisfy DEP's requirements, ExxonMobil is gonna have to do 3 mailings over the next
Okay.
year, all certified.
Okay,
So I'm
Alright.
sure they can copy us on what they're getting back for signature cards on
Okay.
their mailings.
perfect.
And lastly, service connections. Albanese Brothers continues to work with their subcontractors to install the service connections in the residences and make the actual connections. They're also still installing service connections from the property line into the basements. I believe so far they have about 56 service installations installed to the basement, and about 38 or 40 of them are actually connected. So they're making good progress. I think they have about 98 of the 200 residents committed to connect, and they're trying to increase that as much as they can over the next year.
Perfect. Thanks for that update. Anybody have any questions for Peter? All right, any other business unknown at time listing? Next meeting, Peter.
So our next meeting, actually not under the business, but May 1st, the town has allowed in-person meetings to start up again. So it's up to you guys if you want to have our next meeting in person in the selectmen's room like we used to and just do straight in person, or if you'd rather stay on Zoom. Or they also have a hybrid model where we could try and do both. The hybrid model, there might be some bugs that hopefully get worked out before we try it, where the people who are watching on Zoom and trying to participate can also be seen by everybody in person and also on cable. So that might be able to get worked out. So just a couple of options for you for your next meeting.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
How about if we see how the hybrid works when the Board of Selectmen do it and see how it goes before we make a decision? Right.
I think that's a good idea. I gotta be honest with you guys, I like the staying at home Zoom thing, to be honest with you. I got 3 kids. I don't have to leave the house. It's kind of nice. I know, Peter, you go to the office.
Just in case I need to bring up a file or something that I want to get on my computer. So it just makes it easier for me.
Okay.
In case I need to provide information to you guys. I think Zoom works better because if you look at the 10 people that we had on here today, none of them had to travel, and a couple of the engineers that presented for 53 Sturbridge Road are probably a couple hours away. So
Yeah, and they're coming for 12 minutes.
right. So I think the hybrid, if they can work the bugs out, would be great. But I think as far as date-wise goes, I think 1 meeting a month has been working fairly well. I don't think we're falling behind with any decisions that need to be made. So I mean, if there's no objection, we can just go ahead and have our next meeting on June. Actually, I'll be out of town June 7th.
Another vacation up, Peter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
Those weeks come up really fast.
They do. And the week before that, the 31st, is actually Memorial Day. So
Wow.
yeah,
So
maybe
the
just push
week
it off
after?
to June 14th for our next meeting. And then if something crazy happens, we can meet before that. The biggest thing will just be getting warrants signed. So I think we can probably prepare a warrant for you to come sign the week of May 10th, whether it be like May 10th or towards the end of the week, May 14th, or even the week after that.
Yeah, you can do.
I think Sue can prepare a warrant, maybe 3 of you can sign, at least that way we don't get behind in bills. And then we'll just meet again on June 14th and follow up on whatever happens.
Sounds great.
So town meeting is May 17th, so that's 2 weeks from today, if anyone's interested in going. We don't have any special warrant articles on there other than the operating budgets for water and sewer. There are quite a bit of zoning bylaw amendments coming up if you're interested, but other than that, town meeting should be pretty straightforward. And then,
All right.
like Sue said, we'll set the date for June 14th, and we'll decide whether it's hybrid. We'll work with the chairman and decide whether we go hybrid, straight Zoom, or in person, and
Perfect.
let everyone know.
Thank you, Peter.
You bet. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right, how about a second?
I second that notion.
All right. Peter, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Ridlock,
Aye.
Mr. Gagnon,
Aye.
and Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
All right.
Guys, see you on the 14th.
Thank you, everyone. Yes.
Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard,
Tomorrow,
welcome aboard, Mr. Coleman.
Bills.
Yes, we'll be in tomorrow, Sue.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.